Hi, in this video I'm going to show you how to make a beach or a dock cart using 3/4 inch diameter EMT conduit and maker pipe connectors. That being said, let's go ahead and get started. These are the main parts I'll be using in this project. This is a 5/8 inch in diameter all thread rod, 3/4 inch EMT conduit, 1/2 inch PV irrigation tubing, a pneumatic or air-filled tire, a 5/8 inch nut and corresponding washers, one of these plastic end caps which will be used on open-ended pieces of the conduit, several of these maker pipe connectors, and then this conduit crossover clamp. Now I will list the lengths that I cut the pieces to underneath each of the parts, although your lengths may vary. These are the parts I'm going to use to make the axle for this project. I'll put the actual lengths that I cut everything to underneath the parts list. So to start it off, I've got this 5/8 inch in diameter piece of all thread. I've got this 1/2 inch in diameter PV irrigation tube. And then I have my 3/4 inch EMT conduit. So the first thing I'm going to do is take my all thread, slide the irrigation tube over it. And what this is going to do is act as a bushing between this and the cross member piece for the axle, which is the 3/4 inch conduit. And I slide all that in together and line everything else up once I have the wheels on it. And that's going to be my axle setup. This is the final assembly view of the axle, and I wanted to show a couple things that are important. So down here on the inside of the wheel between the conduit and the bearing is one of the washers, and as you go around to the outside you can see that you have the nut with another washer, and another thing that's very important, you want to have the valve stem facing outward. This is an exploded view of the rings that are going to go around the side of the cart. And you can see I've got my 90s along with my straight pieces to connect them all together using the couplers. And the size I ended up going with is based on a 52 quart cooler, like this. And that's how I came up with it, because it's going to be resting in my cart with a little bit of space for other items. Okay, so I've got everything assembled for the first ring. Now you can use the set screws in the couplers as they are, but what I like to do is replace them with self-tapping sheet metal screws. So in order to keep this together as I'm doing it, I'll take one screw out at a time, then drill and put in the new screw and work my way around that way. Here's the view from the bottom, and this is important just to show the cross members here. And again, I've got my crossover clamp here going to the other side, again for the axle and here. And then this crossbar is sitting actually on top of these, which works out very well. I wanted to show a close-up of the bottom side of the crossover clamp connection. This right here, the loop of it, is on the underside of the axle cross member, the same as it is on the other cross member in the front, and it's pointed towards the center. And that gives me the bolts on either side here with the bracket on this side. And I did this because this way the exposed bolts won't catch on anything that I have inside the cart. And it also helps lock this in a little bit better because this bracket is butting up against this inside washer, which will help keep this wheel tight and in place. And then also this bar section of this crossover is butted up against this coupler right here, which will also help any movement in this direction from happening. Here is the close-up view of the top section looking down, and you can see I've got my crossover clamp here, again facing in towards the center, and where this is really close up to this coupler here. This is the finished product. So I'm going to give an overall view of it, starting off at the rear, where in the center section that connects the lower ring section to the upper ring section, I have a 90 maker pipe connector, and up here I have the T connector. Going over to the side, just behind the wheel, again I have a riser with a T connector on the lower ring, T connector on the upper ring. And then as you look down, as I've shown you earlier, there is the crossover brace for the axle, connecting it to the other side and giving it strength. And then you have the same connection right there for the front cross brace. So up in the front, you have another riser with a T connector between the lower and upper rings. And up in front, you have the center connector between the lower and upper rings, using the 90 below and the T connector up on the top. And I also use a T connector here that goes out for the handle, which connects to a 90, and then up here to another T connector with a piece of conduit through it and the end caps in it. Now what I could have done, but I didn't have an extra 90, is instead of using the two T connectors, I could have just used 190. So that's it. If you have any questions, please leave them for me in the comments. Thank you.